What's going on, everyone? This is the Raikazi here, and today I wanted to bring you guys a different video just to give you my full current thoughts about the Pokemon Sword and Shield with the different reveals that has been coming out here as of late. I have some other videos that are planned, but this is actually taking precedence because this is the main topic that is actually in fact going on right now. So I know there's a lot of debate that's going on about Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I'll give you all my actual full thoughts throughout this video and my finalizing thoughts as we currently. I know we're still early in the game right now. I know it's still months to come before we're going to get the actual release of the game. So let's just look at this as best as we can, see what's excited and what's not. So what I'm gonna do is go through the Nintendo Treehouse Live that occurred a few days ago, and there's certain points of it where we're gonna just be hopping on through and we'll talk about those different things. So let's go ahead and start hopping into this right now, and let's see what we're actually looking at.
The widest variety of wild Pokemon out of any area in the games, and it also changes the Pokemon you can encounter depending on the weather conditions and where you go and the time of day.
All right, so let's pause it right there. So there we're talking about in terms of the wild area. So this is something that they really highlighted about in terms of in the Treehouse Live, and it was actually really cool because you can actually see the fact that it was raining in that segment to where you met a lot of water Pokemon. You see different Pokemon that's out in the wild that you can run up and encounter. So that was actually really good, and the fact that it changes depending on the time of day you go, changes on depending on the weather and things like that. That is definitely something that goes with actual nature. You know, different bugs or different animals won't be out if it's going to be a different time of the season, or if it's raining, they don't want to get wet. So that is actually something really good. Let's just hope that there's like some consistency with it, not like you go there all the time and it's always raining. That's just going to be annoying. So surely there's going to be some type of cycle through it, and I hope that they do have something that makes it more randomized as opposed to always raining or something, because we've had some of that happen in some of the previous games if I recall. So that's definitely something that's actually really good. So you can go visit an area, see if it's raining, if it's not raining, maybe a sandstorm, something, depending on what kind of Pokemon you're looking for. And I think that's actually something that's really good. All right, let's move on to the next one.
You can see the Pokemon before you actually encounter it, but at the same time, you actually just saw an exclamation mark pop up in the tall grass there, and that kind of simplifies that it's a random encounter, so you don't know which Pokemon you're going to encounter. We wanted to have a mixture of both types of encounters in these games to also let players enjoy that excitement of, you know, not knowing what they're going to encounter.
All right, so symbol encounters versus the actual exclamation encounters that we are all used to. That is something that I think is actually really good to give a bit of a mix between that. I was thinking, actually, I'll be completely honest, from some of the trailers, I thought the Pokemon that was out in the field roaming around, I was like, you know, maybe those are just Pokemon in the background. You can't even encounter them. It's just a good scenery type of thing. But we can actually, in fact, encounter these Pokemon. So that is actually something that is really cool. The fact that we have the option of having just random encounters and the actual, as they call it, symbol encounters. But now let's just hope that, let's say, for example, you see a symbol encounter and you're running through the grass and then you suddenly get an exclamation encounter. What happens if you get that exclamation encounter? Do you still have to try to get, will the symbol encounter be gone, or will it still be there? What if it's a shiny, like how they do in Pokemon Let's Go? Is it going to be gone? That is something that's going to be really something for us to look into, because shiny hunting, that's going to be another thing that we're going to have to be looking into, is because whether or not these Pokemon are going to show up, how is shiny hunting going to actually change over the course of this? Because I'm sure they probably don't have SOS encounters, I would presume, but we don't know. So that's something for us to actually look forward to. We'll go into more details on that maybe in a future video, but these are things that what we need to say, hey, what if, what's possible, and things to look at just to see what we're looking forward towards in this game. Also, in terms of the symbol encounters, there was something else that I remember seeing, so I'm going to see if I can find that part in the video right now and see and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm actually talking about.
Yeah, depending on where you go, there'll be some very high-level Pokemon that you maybe can't take on, so you can probably run away from this one.
Oh no! Score buddy!
Okay, as you all have just seen, I know it, whether this is a demo or how they're actually playing this, you had a level 12 Pokemon, has to be a demo anyway, because they're just using all starters, so it has to be the demo. But you're in this wild area, you have this symbol encounter with a level 26 Pokemon. Your Pokemon is nowhere near that level. So this is actually something that's really interesting to the fact that I wonder if we're going to truly have access to this wild area early on. And will we be having the opportunity to get our faces smacked by a Pokemon that won't let us run? That is something that is going to be really kind of scary and actually really good, because just in the real Pokemon world, you can come across a very powerful Pokemon and you just need to say, hey, I'm not going to mess with it because that thing is going to beat my entire team. My entire team is really low level Pokemon and I want to avoid the grass. So I think that is something that's really cool. It's not like set levels for the Pokemon. They said it depends on where you go. And I mean, if you have access to it from the beginning, I think that'll just say, hey, you probably don't want to go there. You can go there if you want, but you probably don't want to go there because your Pokemon are going to get smashed. And sure enough, if you do, they do, and you just realize, hey, I can't go there right now. So I think will be something that will be really great if they do not do any hand holding and grab us and say, hey, no, you cannot do this. So that's something I definitely want to look forward to if that is something that they allow us to have access to early in the game. Alright, so now branching off of in terms of going into a wild area where you can actually meet very challenging Pokemon, there is this little slight issue from what I've already even gathered that I am not going to like about this. And I kind of mentioned this when they actually did the trailer, and I kind of suspected it. And when I look back at the trailers, I can definitely confirm that Hop, who is supposedly one of our rivals, is actually going to be just like Haw. Haw from Pokemon Sun and Moon, and actually I think even from Gen 6, they started changing it to where your rival was more of a type of friendly person that always wanted to help you out. Not from back in when Gen 1, Gen 2, when you had these trainers that were basically out to get you. You chose your starter, and they always ended up having the starter that was going to be strong against your starter, so you could never put your starter against them. So it was always a very difficult thing from the very start off. And then at some point they decided, hey, why don't we just let your rival be more passive? And then they chose your weakness instead. So Hop here always has this smile on his face. He's actually traveling alongside you, which is great. I definitely get that Pokemon is all about community, but at the same time, there's a lot of us that are looking more for a challenge. And if we want somebody that's going to be a rival, we want somebody that's going to push us to that next level. And when we have somebody like Hop, who is going to basically choose who we are strong. If we have somebody like Hop that's going to choose who we are strong against, then where's the challenge in that? See, I think that we should actually still have the rivals once again that are going to choose our weakness so we can actually fight even harder to overcome those challenges. I think they should actually really introduce a hard mode in Pokemon so we can actually have that ability. And what I mean when in terms of Hop doing this is another clip, as this is the clip when they actually introduced Hop. But if you go back earlier, this is from the Pokemon Direct from June 5th. If you go back earlier on, and I'll skip to that here in just a sec. Alright, right here is where we got the demonstration of what Hop is choosing, and you see your character sending out your starter. And here we go. Sobble, and you just sent out Grookey. See? There we go. Right there. So if we back it up right here, boom, right here. So as you can see, your starter is the grass type, while Hop's starter is the water type. So therefore, he is in fact choosing the Pokemon that you are strong against. Therefore, he is not really going to be much of a rival per se. He is going to be a friend. So in terms of Pokemon, I look for people that are going to be more of rivals. And yeah, definitely we want to have friendships, of course. But to push me throughout the game, I definitely want a rival. So that's definitely a negative point in there, but that's just for me. I know a lot of people, they like to have an additional friend, so that's on them. Me, I would prefer having somebody like, Gary or what was that guy's name that was in Gold and Silver that was just kind of pretty much stealing the Pokemon stuff. That was actually more interesting. So, but that's that. But now we're going to move on to the larger scale things here. This is going into the Dynamaxing and what that is meaning for the future of Pokemon. So let's go ahead and dive into that here in a few seconds.
4人で戦うので、その役割分担と連携がすごい大事になってます。
Yeah, cooperation between the players.
All right, right here with all of this here. So for these max raid battles going against these Dynamax wild Pokemon, one thing that I did notice, as they did mention in it, if you all did not hear it, you can go back and watch the Pokemon Sword and Shield Nintendo Treehouse Live. You can go back and watch that video on their YouTube page there. But what they did in fact mention is that the ability to Dynamax, when you have all four trainers working together, it actually rotates between trainers. So on this turn here, as you can see, this trainer actually got the ability to Dynamax on this turn. So if he doesn't use the Dynamax feature, then it actually transfers to somebody else. So that's why when they say that you have to have a lot of communication, you actually talk amongst yourselves, hopefully, and say, hey, your Pokemon will actually have the best bet to Dynamax. So why don't you go ahead and Dynamax instead of me? And you all have to just pretty much try to survive until that point. So that's definitely something key. Now, there's a few other things here, and I'll pause it as every time that I can see something about it.
このダイマックスタイミングも非常に重要となっています。
The ability to use Dynamax, it actually rotates between the players each turn, but your team can only use Dynamax once throughout the entire battle. So it's important to kind of identify what the exact right timing is to be able to, exploit its power.
So yeah, obviously a lot of strategy goes into these Dynamax raid battles.
結構じゃあ戦略性の高いバトルなので、
そうですね。でダイマックス技を使うと、その効果によって、例えば今、炎の
All right, so there's a lot of information that just was released just in that bit of footage right there. So first and foremost, like I've already said, the ability to Dynamax rotates throughout from player to player, but you can only use it once per actual full match, regardless of who actually uses it. So it's not like when we actually had like double battles when, we had 2 players on one side, 2 players on the other side and battling against each other and everybody can like mega evolve or anything like that. So no, it's not like that is something at all. Also, another thing is that when Steelix actually, she said in her video that, Steelix is doing multiple attacks. No, it actually did that rockfall move, stonefall, whatever it was called. And after it hit the Ludicolo, which apparently, luckily, they had to reflect that because it wasn't doing as much damage, but it then also caused a sandstorm. So, and as we also just recently saw, the Arcanine just Dynamax did a max flare, and then it commanded for the sun to come. Now, these are very important keys for something that is actually going to be revealed later on, and I think the reason why they are actually doing it as well. And I'm gonna hold off there because I'll try to jump to it as soon as we can, but keep that in mind. The fact that the sandstorm's coming, the sunlight is coming after they use an attack, and they're creating these different weather effects. These are very important factors. Now, another thing is I have yet to really determine what level all these Pokemon are on, because when this Steelix here, that should have a really low special defense typically, but it's Dynamax, so it's going to have boosted stats, is getting hit by all of these attacks, even from a Dynamaxed Arcanine, and yet it is just tanking these hits. I'm like, that is actually flooring me, because I'm wondering now, does that actually mean that Pokemon moves are going to either be basically nerfed, or are stats just super buffed, or what's actually happening to the competitive scene? That is something that is really, 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 really interesting to try to figure out. So that might actually change a bunch of damage calcs in Pokemon Showdown, if that's even something that will be calculated. I don't even know. So noticing just how much damage is occurring in these battles is astounding and really something to look forward to. Now, we're not going to go ahead and dive into all of the different effects because if y'all wanted to see the full battle, you can go back and watch that on the Pokemon Direct. Because, Steelix did put up a shield. You have to hit it. Once you hit it each time, no matter what, that took down a chunk of its shield. If you got hit from a Dynamax Pokemon, it takes down 2 of its meters, and that's if it commands that shield. Now, does every Pokemon, when they are Dynamax, automatically create a shield? I don't know. It could just be the fact that it's the wild one, and they have that ability. I don't know. I'm not the maker of the game, so that's more to actually come in the future. So, I don't know. We'll find out later on. So, we'll move on.
So Dynamax is actually a new way to power up your Pokemon in these games. It replaces what we've seen previously, for example, Mega Evolution and Z-moves.
Boom! Alright, so they basically just stated when they actually had this talk before the match it started itself, that the Dynamax is going to replace Z-moves and Mega Evolution. So all of our Mega Evolving Pokemon, gone. The ability to Mega Evolve is gone. Now, whether or not they're going to somehow bring it back, honestly, I have no idea. Because they are basically stating that this is going to replace it. Now, if you had a Pokemon that can Dynamax in one end, you got also another Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, and then you also have another Pokemon with Z-moves, that would be just complete cataclysmic battling. So, I'm pretty sure, based upon what was just stated, they are completely removing Pokemon Mega Evolution and Z-moves. What does that do to us? Z-moves, okay. It kind of pulls it back to certain strategies as opposed to the Z-move strategies that would really just throw people all off of the game. But the Mega Evolution is kind of sad because some Pokemon looked a lot better, Gallade, whenever they Mega Evolved, and but now they're going to just stay in their base form. So that's something interesting to look into. So now let's go ahead and hop into what they were actually going to state that I was alluding to earlier on.
At Game Freak, we really spent a lot of time thinking about what the best way to move forward was, really preserving the quality of all the different Pokemon, while also, taking into account the battle balance, having so many different Pokemon available, all within, a limited development time, so we don't keep fans waiting too long for every new entry in the series.
I'm gonna pause it right here because I'm gonna tell you one thing. This guy is an expert at giving bad news. Because he is just leading into it, like, oh, well, just because of all of this and all of that, and due to what we are wanting to do to make sure everybody's happy, we are going to be doing this, and it's like, I know you're leading on to something. You give me all the good, but what are you about to tell me?
And after a lot of discussion, we decided to come to kind of a new direction.
つまりですね、ポケモンホームとソードシールドの間を行き来できるポケモンを、ガラル図鑑に登場するポケモンに絞ることにしました。
And so what that means for Pokemon Sword and Shield is that players will be able to transfer their Pokemon from Pokemon Home only if they appear in the Galar region pokedex.
図鑑の、舞台に合わせて、冒険の舞台に合わせて、こだわって登場するポケモンを、決めています。
So we were very careful. We spent a lot of time really thinking what the best selection of Pokemon to match the setting of the adventure would be.
さらに詳しい話は今後の取材とかインタビューでちゃんと説明していきたいと思います。
So I'll talk more about the details in future opportunities such as media interviews, but I'll let you know today.
ただ
All right. That was the biggest set of news, and there's a ton of things that we can actually go into about it. But being the fact that he just stated that there's more that he's going to be revealing in future discussions, then there's only so much that we can speculate right now. So let's just go based upon what was already stated and just try to pick at it just a little bit here. So first and foremost, they're saying that Pokemon from earlier generations will be able to be transferred from the Pokemon Home server. That's the new application where you can put all of your Pokemon in so you have access to them. However, if the Pokemon does not appear in the Galar region, then you cannot transfer them over. What does that actually mean? So, let's say, for example, Pikachu is in Pokemon Generation 1. It's in the original 150 Pokemon. But if you went to Pokemon Generation 2, let's say Gold and Silver and Crystal, and you found a Pikachu, even though the Pikachu appeared in the Johto region and part of the Johto Dex, it was not part of the National Dex. If you're following me there, so then you'll understand that Pikachu appeared in both Gen 1 and Gen 2, so you can therefore get Pikachu in both games. But Pikachu originally is from just the Kanto Pokedex. Now, when they're saying if the Pokemon does not appear in the Galar Pokedex, which is the new generation, then therefore, if, let's say, for example, you have, I don't know, a Tangela, I don't know. Now, everybody should know Tangela, or, Aerodactyl, or some Pokemon like that. If that Pokemon does not appear on its own in the Galar region, you cannot transfer that Pokemon over to that game. So if you had found a shiny from the earlier generations, if you were in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and you found a shiny, or if you just had one that was really trained up well, and you wanted to transfer it over, you cannot do that. And what does that mean for us that are in the competitive scene? Because you all know, they've actually just stated, it's trying to make it more balanced. Now, normally with these games, you can't transfer Pokemon until you've beat the entire game itself or whatnot. And I was not even planning on transferring my Pokemon until I beat the game anyway, because I don't want to feel as though it's too easy. However, I would like to actually transfer all of my Pokemon over so I can have access to all of my Pokemon, especially in the different graphics. But we don't even know which all Pokemon are going to be prevented from there. We don't even know which Pokemon are going to be banned, which ones are not, because we don't even know the full Galar Pokedex yet. So, here's what I'm also just naturally thinking. Mythical Pokemon, do they ever appear on their own? No, they sure don't. Are they ever usually part of an actual dex? No, they're usually extra numbers added to the dex. So, therefore, will mythical Pokemon be able to be transferred into Pokemon Sword and Shield? No. All these mythical Pokemon that we went through, all these different generations and all these different quests to get, will not be able to be transferred into Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, another thing, which is what I was alluding to earlier, the legendaries, especially like our Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, these Pokemon that are summoning these massive weather abilities, or however you want to actually call it. What they're basically letting us know is that these new moves in Dynamaxing, for example, you had, and I went back and I saw it, the Max Rockfall from that Steelix, or even the that Max Flare from the Arcanine. They created the Sandstorm and the Drought, respectively, and if you had, for example, a Primal, let's say a Primal Kyogre, for example, on the field, those new weathers would not take effect because of Primal Kyogre's ability. However, what they could have easily done has basically nerfed it and said, hey, if you have, because in the regular rain, if you use a fire attack, the fire attack is weakened. But in the Primal Kyogre rain, if you use a fire attack, it just fizzles out because it's just downpoured completely. What they should have done is just allowed it to where if you did transfer in send out a new Pokemon with another weather, it can change it, as opposed to saying, oh no, it's just too weak to change out that weather. But they could have nerfed it, but they didn't. They're basically just saying that all these Pokemon are just left out. And I cannot imagine that the legendary Pokemon like Landorus, Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, all these different legendaries class Pokemon, I don't really imagine that they will be just out roaming the field for us to just find more than one of them. So, chances of them being available, you know what? More than likely, no. So we are about to lose a good deal of Pokemon. So when they're saying that they have to really do a lot of thinking about it, it's a very hard thing for even me to really take in terms of that. And regardless of even the legendaries, I'm even so honestly more concerned about my other Pokemon. There's a lot of the Pokemon that in fact I trained, and you all know me whenever I'm making a decision about the Pokemon game, is about the competitive scene. What are they actually going to do in terms of the competitive scene? And usually they're saying, hey, you can't use Pokemon from a previous generation. Cool, fine. I usually have to go back and rebreed my Pokemon, and I train it up the exact same way anyway. Sometimes there's a move that no longer exists, and I won't be able to use that, and I have to come up with a slightly different strategy, but that's perfectly fine. I deal with it, and I go and I move on. And sometimes there's Pokemon that I really wanted to use as shiny, so I will spend the hours and the days and sometimes even the weeks just to make that Pokemon shiny when I could have actually been spending the time going for a competitive Pokemon first and then just training and not even worrying about the shiny, but I really wanted to do it with the shiny Pokemon. So unfortunately, I had to give that up. And now basically what they're saying is that, oh yeah, all that hard work that you've done, it's highly possible, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but it's highly possible that that one Pokemon that you spent all that time on is not going to be able to be transferred over. And, you know, when in terms of breeding Pokemon, if they say the competitive scene was like, oh, you can't use a Pokemon from an early generation, fine. I'll just use the Pokemon, though, that I've already have with its max stats in all these settings, and I'll use it to help use the proper breeding mechanics, breed another Pokemon, similar stats, and the right nature, and then I'll just train it up again to like level 50 or something, because I'm not going to go up to level 100 anymore if y'all are going to keep making me restart these Pokemon over, and or introducing new evolutions and my Pokemon's level 100 and I can't even evolve them anyway. Things like that happen. So, you know, there's a lot of things that's in terms of that now has me truly on the fence, because what I now need to know in terms of for me to truly say whether or not I'm going to get the game is what is the full Pokedex. Now, I don't need to know the information of what the new Pokemon are. I couldn't care less because new Pokemon surprise me. I'm cool with that. But how about you let me know what are all the Pokemon that I will be allowed to transfer, and what are your plans for the future generations or future games? Are you planning to allow us to transfer them later on? Because if that's the case, well, cool. Because if we are all battling, you know, we have these battle streams when we want to bring Pokemon from vast amounts and just have full-on out battles. So what if you all just say, what if they say, for example, no, you can never bring these Pokemon. So we have to just pretty much start all over, and we can't bring some of those happy-go-lucky Pokemon again. That would be kind of unfortunate. And there was some things that friends and I were actually talking about, and there's one Pokemon that I think is not going to be there. And there's a particular reason why. Wailord. Wailord is, of course, one of the largest Pokemon of all. Can you imagine that Pokemon Dynamaxing? So regardless of its viability and how much it's used in battle, the fact of the matter is they probably will not allow a Wailord to come over because they just do not want that Pokemon being supersized there. And another thing is that they're also stating that they're trying to make sure that they selected the Pokemon that are fit for the region. So what does that truly say, since they're actually out in England? Because I don't know all the animals that will appear there. So I think that is something that we really want to look into. So I do hope now, with me being on the fence, I'm trying to hope that they can give us some more information as to which Pokemon from the older games, again, I don't need to know the full Pokedex, I just need to know all the Pokemon from the previous generations that I will be allowed to transfer over. Which Pokemon I'm able to transfer over, and actually that's pretty much it, because everything else I really like about it. I would wish that Hop was going to be less like Haw and more like probably Gary Oak. But I do like the fact that we can run into these wild high-level Pokemon. It's really looking interesting in terms of how the the stats are going to be when attacking some of these Dynamaxing Pokemon. And I think it's going to take a lot of strategy building, working with teammates in order to actually defeat these Pokemon. So I think that's going to be something that's really, 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 really cool. But, you know, there's still just things that might really be a hard deal breaker for some, because, you know, their favorite Pokemon might not be able to be over there. I know for me, honestly, with Raichu being my favorite Pokemon, I don't have anything to worry about, because Pikachu, the mascot, is always going to be there. If they actually manage somehow to remove Pikachu, that might be, it'll be kind of funny at the same time, because I don't really care for Pikachu, but I love Raichu. Go figure. But that is more to come on that. So what we need to do basically is keep our eyes out, look for that. I know I went into as much detail as I possibly could. Not a typical video for me, because I'm doing a full-on in-depth reaction and analysis on what they're trying to state to us. So basically, I'm on the fence now. I do not like that news, that set of news, and but I do hope more is going to come out for it. I know they're trying to roll out the game, and they're bringing it out for everybody to try it. They're not everybody's played all the previous generations, so it might not matter to everybody else. But I do put a lot of hard work into the previous Pokemon that I worked on, and I would like to bring them over so they can see the other, so they can actually be in this new generation, so they can be in this new environment, moving from this handheld console on the 3DS and me making an investment so I can actually go into the Switch, because I don't have a Switch, and that's going to be, you know, I ran some numbers. This is, you know, more than $500,000 just for me to switch everything over to a Switch. And having that game and having all the equipment set up so I can even do these streams in which I do, just so I can actually bring over Pokemon that I may not even be satisfied with. And that's actually going to be the hard part for me, because when I did start this channel and when I started doing these things, I started doing the things that I like to do. So I really want to make sure that continues. So I'm hoping more news is going to come out and give us some relief information. But again, they don't need to give me all the information. I'm not asking for that. I just need to know what Pokemon from the previous generations are able to transfer, and what is that going to affect from all the previous training that I've done. And then we can truly make another decision from that point forward. I'm not saying a hard no. I'm not saying a hard yes. I'm just right on the fence. I'm trying to look at this as analytical as I can and seeing what the true benefit. Of course, there's always going to be drawbacks, but what's the true benefit, and what are going to be the costs in terms of moving over to Pokemon Sword and Shield for me. So that's the best that I have for right now. Again, if you wanted to go back and watch the Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield gameplay from the Treehouse Live, you can go on the Nintendo Direct, on the Nintendo website, or even on YouTube. Go on Nintendo, find Nintendo, you hit the Treehouse Live. You can find all these videos, you can watch them all the way through, get your own analysis, get your own thoughts. Let me know what you all think. What are your, do you have any drawbacks about these news, based upon the different attacks that you saw, the different strategies that really might be really good, honestly, with the Dynamax features and things like that. I think that there's still a lot of benefit in terms of that. So what do you all think about it? And what are your hopes for it? Are you definitely still getting the game? Are you kind of on the fence? Or are you definitely not? No, let me know what you all think, and we'll take it from there. So we'll listen out for the next video, and I'm going to get those other videos out to you, because I am ready, just about ready to come back. I just got some other things to let you all know about, but this one, it was taking precedence, so I'm going to get it out to you all, and I'm going to catch you all soon. So at this moment in time, though, this is going to be the Right Kazi signing off. You all know what to do. You stay strong. Power on. Catch y'all later.